Hello, it's Markus here. I am an independent tech enthusiast, and this is where we talk everything about enterprise tech, from silicon to IT mega events. This video is sponsored by HPE. What a week! Now, where do I even begin? As I mentioned in my short videos that I made before the event, I was expecting more attendees than last year, since this time it was a 3-in-1 event. In addition to HPE Discover and HPE Partner Summit, HPE Aspire, which is HPE's technical gathering, was for the first time also held at the Venetian at the same time. According to Antonio Neri, there was around 11,500 customers and partners, plus lots of HPE's own people. So some 3,000 more than last year. As a comparison, at Dell Tech World, there were roughly 10,000 attendees this year. And at Cisco Live, which is always huge, there were just shy of 20,000 attendees. So that's really impressive from HPE. The few thousand additional people could also be felt. The expo floor was filled with people the first 2 days. Breakout and spotlight sessions were packed. The Venetian hotel was fully booked weeks before, and there were no empty seats at the keynotes. As a matter of fact, all HPE internal people didn't even fit in the keynote main hall, but had to watch the show outside from the screens. Maybe next year the keynotes will be at the brand new Sphere at the Venetian resort to accommodate everyone. The expo floor, or the showcase as HPE called it, was very familiar looking. The entrance ceiling decoration with the circle and the HPE element was more or less the same as last year. But the overall feeling at the expo floor was a bit more simplistic and cleaner. I could even use words like Nordic or minimalistic. There were HPE and partner booths, S&P pavilion, cafe, therapy dogs, and a big hands-on area. By the way, the new Compute Ops Management with OneView support is pretty sweet. Much more useful now than the first version with just monitoring and firmware update possibility. But what was the most surprising to me at the showcase floor was the amount of hardware. Last year in Las Vegas, and especially in Frankfurt, it was striking how little hardware there was, and I was expecting practically no hardware this year. But how wrong was I? There was a lot of hardware for us to see and touch. It was amazing to see, for example, a piece of Frontier, the world's fastest supercomputer, on the show floor. And how awesome is this liquid cooling system from Isotope? HPE says this is a direct response to attendee feedback from last year. See, no matter how thick a layer of automation and software and other cloudiness you try to hide the hardware with, it's still gonna be there. And it's still interesting. So thank you HPE for listening to us. Now let's get to the announcements. I mentioned it beforehand that I was nervous about the keynote. Only because in my view, if they will not focus on AI now, they are missing the most important IT momentum of our lifetimes. Until now, HPE has been a bit slow off the grid with it, and it feels that everybody else around them is full steam ahead with AI. So yes, I felt like Antonio Neri had to at least spend a lot of time talking about AI, if nothing else. Or I'm not sure how the near future would look like for HPE. But what was announced simply blew my mind.
HPE is entering the AI public cloud market.
HPE is entering the public cloud market with AI. Yes, that's public cloud. How about that? First of all, there's just simply too much to talk about for one video. So I decided to make a separate video about this one announcement. Go check it out from here after this. But here's an executive summary. HPE will add a service called HPE GreenLake for large language models to their GreenLake offering. So if you want to run large-scale LLM projects, you no longer have to invest a fortune in supercomputer and excessive time and resources for setting the environment up yourself. Instead, you can buy all this as a service from HPE. HPE GreenLake for large language models will be available in the US later this year and in Europe in early 2024. And according to HPE, LLM is just the beginning and many other AI models will follow. This is a bold move, very bold move, and the risk is high, I must say. But do I think HPE has a shot with this? Oh yes, I do. And I have 5 reasons why, but I also have 2 concerns. Number 1, HPE is a global leader in HPC. Secondly, HPE has cloud experience already through HPE GreenLake. And also, they just acquired Determined AI and Pachyderm. And fourth, their advantage is simplicity, which is super important, especially with AI. And last but maybe most importantly, Antonio Neri's big bets have paid off pretty much every time last year's. But success is anything but guaranteed. I have 2 main concerns. And the first one is about data, and this is a big one. HPE needs to lure customers' data in somehow. Edge could be the solution. If HPE manages to harness the data at the edge for this, sky is the limit. Secondly, I'm not sure if HPE's experience of demanding AI projects is at the level that's required for this. However, I am positive that they will figure it out over time. All in all, this might be the single most interesting and important announcement HPE has made. I mean, ever. In addition to the big AI announcement, there were also a bunch of other announcements. Namely, HPE GreenLake for Private Cloud Business Edition, which is a renamed HPE GreenLake for HCI. And also HPE GreenLake for Storage Fabric Management. And there's also new capabilities to HPE Machine Learning software portfolio. And also added support for MS SQL and Amazon RDS to HPE GreenLake for backup and recovery. And then enhancements to HPE GreenLake for Private Cloud Enterprise. There's also enhancements to HPE GreenLake for Compute Ops Management as mentioned, for example OneView support. HPE also made a few pretty interesting announcements with their ecosystem partners. HPE GreenLake can be now pre-deployed at Equinix so that you can start using GreenLake services within days from one of the Equinix data centers. There will also be some new HPE offerings in AWS Marketplace. And last, HPE GreenLake for VMware Cloud Foundation is now available. What was also actually very interesting to me was bringing Matt Wood, Vice President of AWS, and Raghu Raghuram, the CEO of VMware, on stage. Might not seem like much at first, but if we think about it, this would have not been possible just some 5 years ago, when there was still a very real battle between on-prem and public cloud. I could not have imagined HPE and AWS on the same stage back then. Same as if Antonio Neri would be standing next to Michael Dell at his keynote. Yeah, nope. Equally big surprise was Raghu Raghuram's appearance on the main stage. I take this as a clear sign from VMware that they are now seriously breaking free of Dell and want to express that they are truly willing to deepen their relationship with other vendors such as HPE. Again, I would not have expected to see this happen still 3 years ago. The same vibe continued on day 2 with the CTO keynote where Fidelma Russo and her team talked about OpsRamp and the thousands of integrations it provides, specifically mentioning NetApp and Dell by name. All of the above are strong signals that HPE welcomes everyone in their ecosystem, friends and enemies. No one can do this alone, so they must join forces and do things together for the best possible customer experience. HPE's endgame being, of course, that services will be still used through HPE GreenLake as much as possible. Maybe we will see Antonio and Michael standing next to each other one day. Both the CEO keynote by Antonio Neri and the CTO keynote by Fidelma Russo were spot on and super interesting. I've said it before that Michael Dell's keynote at this year's Dell Tech World was the best I've heard from him, and I still think that. But I also think these were the best keynotes I've heard from HPE. The Wednesday evening celebration was awesome. Especially the pre-party area was far better than last year. It was filled with Vegas-style entertainment, face painting, silent disco, drinks and street food. Perfect relaxation after 2 days of super hectic IT conferencing. The main attraction this year was John Fogerty from CCR. Talking to people, they seemed a bit divided about choosing him. But all I can say is that he's a bit too long before my time, so can't really relate that much. But nevertheless, thousands of people seemed to enjoy the show. The best part, again, was meeting dozens and dozens of subscribers, followers, HPE customers, partners, friends, and other tech enthusiasts. So thank you to all that I had the pleasure of having chats with at Discover 2023. You made it a success for me. That was it, another amazing HPE Discover on my belt, counting down days to HPE Discover 2024. And go see that other video about HPE AI Cloud. Cheers and see you with the next one.